Afternoon folks, this is BestInSlot with the announcement and trailer breakdown for the next big paid DLC for Jurassic World Evolution, Claire's Sanctuary. Coming on the 18th of June, the same day as the free summer update, the trailer contains a whole bunch of new features we're going to cover in more detail in the next couple of weeks, but for today we're just going to see what we can find hiding within it. Here's the full trailer in case you've not seen it quite yet.
Okay, here's the plan. This is Sanctuary. It's a paradise built to support and sustain multiple species. Our job is to secure as many dinosaurs from Isla Nublar as we can. We need to relocate, rehabilitate, and release them. And the truth is, we're out of time. Mount Sibo will soon erupt, and that explosion is going to return every species on Isla Nublar back to extinction. And after everything I've experienced there, I won't just sit idly by and allow these beautiful creatures to perish. We have the means, and we have the resolve. Let's save some dinosaurs.
So let's get stuck right in. The first new feature is a new playable island, Sanctuary Island. Our first look at it has the same slightly curved shape with the bay in the middle as the island from Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom does, but as we zoom in on the playable area, it does appear to be a fairly typical building area. It's moderately flat looking, it's roundish, but it does lack any defining features based on what we can see from this initial map overview. That's not to say there won't be any, but we don't get a good look at the playable area quite yet. That same initial preview, however, does show us our first brand new building that we're going to be talking about later on as well, the greenhouse. Now it's a typical evolution-esque grey and white design pockmarked with this beautiful glass geodesic dome. The greenhouse plays into another one of the new features that's going to pop up again later in the video, but it's also our first ever brand new building ever added to Evolution if you discount the sort of barely changed advanced storm defense station we got back in Secrets of Dr. Wu. Here's a nice close look up at it. We get a look inside the dome, and the interesting difference for me here between this high quality image and the small preview image from the trailer is that they seem to have different amounts of foliage inside them. Now this is, like I say, going to tie into something else as part of the DLC, but it appears that it could be a slightly dynamic building, visually at least. Will we see our plants actively growing within this greenhouse? As an aside, whilst we're here, this is also our first proper look at the new individually placeable trees. Coming for free as part of this update, we'll be able to place a variety of new trees on their own around our parks, and these thick curved ones to the top left of the greenhouse are not only very close to the building, which is pretty cool, but I believe never seen before in Jurassic World Evolution. We then get a preview of the 3 new dinosaurs being added as part of the Claire's Sanctuary DLC, Albertosaurus, Ouranosaurus and Euoplocephalus. I'll have another video up later where we're going to talk about each of these dinosaurs in more detail. We're going to look at some of their new screenshots, but of course Ouranosaurus and Albertosaurus were 2 of the few missing dinosaurs from Operation Genesis, and Euoplocephalus was found in the in-game files quite a while ago. Based on a very quick glance, the Ouranosaurus uses the same approximate rigging as the Iguanodon, the Albertosaurus looks similar to the other medium-large carnivores, and the Euoplocephalus similar to the existing Ankylosaurians, though with, I will say, a more interesting and actually accurate design thanks to its lack of prominent bulky plating. This is what the modern depiction of, say, the Ankylosaurus would look more like now. As I say, we're going to do a specific video on these dinosaurs a little later on, and we'll cover them in more depth, but from this it seems to me that the Euoplo and the Alberta have some pretty interesting designs, whereas the Ouranosaurus is potentially a little bit on the tame side. It's lovingly chubby, but it does, design-wise, maybe look a little bit dull. We'll have to see, we'll look at them in more detail later. But there is also a brief spot of a new feature, the Jeep Tour. We're going to be back to that in a little bit as well. Now this next step of the video is a little light on new features, but it does delve into the story we're going to experience in Claire's Sanctuary. The goal of the DLC is, as Claire puts it, to relocate, rehabilitate and release the dinosaurs onto Sanctuary Island. And as with the Fallen Kingdom film, this is because Mount Sibo is going to erupt. The only difference this time, as far as we can see at least, is that there's no evil dude interceding and trying to sell off our dinosaurs. It's a sort of alternate timeline to what we saw in the movies, letting us act out Claire's goal and quasi-redemption the way that she actually intended. Now we also get the look at the death of a Spinosaurus next, so it seems this Mount Sibo eruption will be able to do damage. I don't think Frontier purposefully picked what is basically my favourite dinosaur to be killed off in this video, but I'm still awfully suspicious just in case they did. As well as multiple shots of Sibo firing off, there's a short clip of some Pachycephalosaurus in front of this dusky, smoky background. Is that just what the island looks like, or is that increased residue from Sibo? Will the eruption over time have more and more of an effect upon the habitat and climate of Isla Nublar? We could have ash and smoke, rumbling. I suspect not an actual in-game eruption with lava, etc., but you never really know, I guess. It's hard to glean much about what we'll actually be doing from this trailer, which makes sense of course, but it is interesting that we'll seemingly be doing some actual missions on Isla Nublar, an island that has until now been reserved for sandbox mode. Frontier have already confirmed that of course sandbox mode isn't going anywhere, and that we'll actually be playing on a brand new part of Isla Nublar away from that sandbox area. It seems likely we will be doing these missions on Nublar, as Claire goes on to talk about having the means to save these dinosaurs whilst airlifting a Triceratops away in front of the erupting Sibo. And the last DLC pack did have 2 new island areas, and it seems as though Claire's Sanctuary is going to continue that trend. Once we get our dinosaurs over to Sanctuary Island, however, the job is clearly not finished. They need rehabilitating, and for the herbivores at least, that is going to involve some new food types. What we see is a Triceratops feeding from a new herbivore feeder packed full of different foliage. Leaves, sticks, ferns, and even berries are all popping up within it, and this is clearly meant to tie in with the greenhouse building we saw earlier in the video. You can even see some of the prospective fauna for these feeders in the top right of the image, including, very excitingly, a log. Now I don't unfortunately think we'll be seeing or indeed placing this fauna around Sanctuary Island. I suspect it is contained to the greenhouse and the herbivore feeders, but it is nice to see the herbivores get a little bit of variety now that the carnivores have some too, thanks to the fish feeder, although this does appear to be slightly more complex. How this greenhouse is going to work and how it's going to tie into the feeders though, I don't know, and it's quite an interesting one. It seems it's going to involve researching different fauna types and then growing them in the greenhouse, but then how will that play into actually looking after our herbivores? Will the herbivores now have a preferred food type and you'll have to supply your feeders with the correct materials? Is this a mechanic that's going to exist across all of your islands, or is it reserved for Sanctuary Island? I'm really curious as to how it's been managed without it becoming a tedious new feature, and I would be surprised if, by default, most herbivores in the game aren't happy still just eating from regular feeders. If that's the case, then how do you make the greenhouse and its more varied food sources a necessary or worthy investment for your dinosaurs? I really don't know how that's going to work. You can't really just make the dinosaurs rely on the greenhouse, because that'll screw up. That's going to get tedious and it'll ruin the rest of the game basically. But you also can't have it be useless, because otherwise what's the point? So I'm very curious as to how they've sort of straddled that line a little bit. I don't really have any ideas, so let me know in the comments down below. The other feature we get a look at on this page is the new Jurassic Tour. Straight out of the original Jurassic World, this is a multi-person tour vehicle that we can assume does the same job as the gyrosphere. The two acted in pretty much the same way in the films, but the truck was faster, held more people, and brought them closer to the dinosaurs because unlike the gyrosphere, it wasn't surrounded by glass. I think mechanically, as though in how we build it and how we integrate it into our parks, the Gyrosphere Tour and the Jurassic Tour are likely to be very similar, but there are a few ways it could be made more interesting. For one, the ability to control it and drive it ourselves is going to be more interesting than in the Gyrosphere. Not only are we driving ourselves around, we're driving around a whole gaggle of unarmed, exposed civilians, and who doesn't love exposed civilians? Will that lack of glass play further into the mechanics? The gyrospheres in Evolution can't be damaged or even really targeted like the Jeeps by dinosaurs, which is fair enough, they're in a protective bubble. But these trucks? It's gonna look a little odd if all these screaming exposed tourists can drive right past an Indominus Rex without any worry whatsoever, and I do wonder if we're gonna get a new animation loop or something to just give us a little interaction between these trucks and the dinosaurs. Finally, we get a lovely shot of some of our new and old dinosaurs roaming around in a field, pockmarked by the new rocks we're getting as part of the summer update, as well as a tour track similar to the Gyrosphere one. It could be the Gyrosphere one, but you would expect the new truck to also follow a track like that, so who knows. I don't want to talk too long about the rocks, because I could talk forever, but they do add a lot to the visual excitement of our exhibits, as rocks are prone to doing, because rocks are amazing. And we do need to see them in conjunction with the new terrain tools to know just how interesting we'll be able to make our parks, but I'm still very excited about the possibilities. Anyways, paleobotany via a new greenhouse building and a new feeder design, 3 new dinosaurs, some new missions seemingly on Isla Nublar and Sanctuary Island, truck tours as in Jurassic World, and yeah, Sanctuary Island from the film series making its first appearance. Claire's Sanctuary is going to be the same price as Secrets of Dr. Wu, and it does contain 2 less dinosaurs, at least from what we've seen so far, in case they're holding anything back. But I'd say in terms of other new content, you know, we've got the new building, which actually looks different than the, you know, last time all we got new building wise was the advanced storm defense station. This time it's much more interesting. The new feeder, the new truck tour, stuff like that. I think I'd say the actual content outside of the dinosaurs appears to be a little bit deeper than it was in Dr. Wu. We'll have to see for ourselves. I'd love to know what you guys think in the comments down below. Will you be purchasing the DLC when it releases on the 18th of June? Of course, I will have plenty, obsessive amounts of content on this and the free summer update when they land on the 18th. Now, to close out the video, I'm going to do an unscripted opinion bit. Yes, surprisingly, that was scripted. These are my first reactions and feelings to the DLC. So, as I look away from my Word document and talk blithely for a minute, what do we think about the new DLC? What do we think about Claire's Sanctuary? Well, first of all, I think it's cool that we're moving the Sanctuary out. You know what? No, the first thing we're going to address is the leak, the 4chan leak, because this is what all the comments are going to be about. I've had many people linking the Twitter thread and the 4chan leak on my Twitter and stuff like that. You know, there's been a lot surrounding it. The 4chan leak suggested we'd be getting a Claire-focused, paleobotany-focused DLC with, I believe they mentioned Tyrannosaurus and Albertosaurus and the 3rd dinosaur. This thing, I've been saying for a long time I don't necessarily believe the leak. I didn't not believe it, I didn't put much stock in it. At the end of the day, we still hadn't seen the big hitter, the big thing that would confirm that the leak was true. And I have said for a long time that if they got the summer DLC right, then they would become trustworthy. And they did, they nailed it, basically, if we're completely honest. They definitely didn't predict all of the free update, the 1.8 update, but they did basically nail the summer update. The DLC, I should say. I can imagine that is intensely frustrating for Frontier to have your stuff put out there like that. Another reason I didn't really want to give it too much attention. I like Frontier, I like working with Frontier. I didn't really want to annoy them, because I can imagine if you've been working on something for a long time and then it gets leaked out there like that, and, you know, well, people see all this stuff coming before it's announced. I can imagine that that'd be quite... If I was a game developer or a publisher or whatever, I would be annoyed by that. And I would be hunting down whoever the leaker is. So, you know, it's something I felt morally a little bit weird talking about in the first place. We can basically say it's true. We can say it has been all but confirmed. There's no way anybody could have predicted this. I think everything up to this point has been predictable. That's why I haven't been going in on the leak. I will say at this point, this is too much. This is too far. This is more than anyone could have predicted. And it's probably true. Which is both a shame, but also exciting if you look at the other details of it. We may do a video covering that down the line. As for the DLC itself, it's a shame we only have 3 dinosaurs. I thought, given Dr. Wu had 5 dinosaurs, that would be a continued trend, and there were suggestions that Tyrannosaurus and Pachyrhinosaurus would be in the game. Now, whether that means we haven't seen all the dinosaurs or whether we're going to get a DLC dinosaur pack relatively soon after the release of this, and, you know, release more herbivores, that would make a lot of sense. We'll have to wait and see. I think the truck tour is really exciting. I think I will be favouring that very heavily over the gyrospheres. You know, visually it's much more my kind of thing. I think that's really interesting. I do hope there is some form of interaction between that and the dinosaurs. The guests, the humans, are exposed. It would look weird if they weren't in any form of danger. I don't think we're about to have people killed and stuff, but maybe have the carnivores sort of headbutting the side of it a little bit, and if you do that, you know, you have to close down the tour or something like that. To have some form of management rather than just sticking it in there would be pretty cool. I am very curious about the greenhouse, more than everything else. I think it's quite a difficult thing to have and to straddle the line between an interesting new mechanic that brings depth but also doesn't bring tedium, and I honestly have no idea how they're going to pull it off. I can kind of envision it that you'll have research options via the greenhouse, and then you'll be able to grow these feeder options within the greenhouse. And then maybe what it is you'll get this new feeder, right, which is able to hold multiple food types, and you'd have to choose the kind of the loadout of the feeder based on the dinosaurs in your exhibit. So if you've got a Triceratops and you know they really like ferns, you'd load up your feeder with ferns, and you'd also load it up with the other things to address the other dinosaurs in that exhibit. Whether that's what's actually going to be the case or not, we'll have to wait and see, but it is probably the mechanic I'm most interested in. Sanctuary Island itself, we didn't get a good look, although I will say one of the preview images for the Uranus had sand on the ground, and it didn't look like Isla Muerta. So Sanctuary Island may have sand, may have a beach area, something like that. It could have been the new Isla Nublar, of course, as well. We didn't really get a good look at that either. We'll have to wait and see. I don't think you should be expecting particularly large playable areas. Hopefully they're a decent size, of course, but the Secrets of Dr. Wu new areas weren't particularly big. I think the Isla Nublar sandbox will be the biggest island we get until the end of the game, basically. I don't think it's going to get any bigger than that. Which is a shame, but I don't think that is necessarily a design choice at this point. I think that's more memory limitations. We've seen quite a lot that Jurassic World Evolution struggles with memory allocation. That's why the terrain tools are limited, that's why a whole bunch of other things. I think that's partially why the skins are so limited. So I just don't want people to get their hopes up about that. But new playable areas are always interesting anyway. You know, it means potentially as well new challenge modes. Will we see new dinosaur skins? Because at the moment, every single island in the game, including the Doctor Wu ones, has a Jurassic difficulty challenge mode where you unlock a new dinosaur skin, as well as a regular skin unlocked from just regular challenge mode. So will we get 4 new dinosaur skins for our existing dinosaurs, or indeed new dinosaur skins for our new dinosaurs via challenge mode? That's going to be interesting as well. We'll keep an eye out for that. I think that's about it for me, folks. Like I said, we're going to do another video later on today. We're going to look at the 3 new dinosaurs in a little bit more detail, their role in Jurassic Park, what we think of their individual designs. Definitely come back in a few hours' time and we'll check those out. And yeah, thank you for joining me. Let me know what you think about the DLC down below in the comments. I'm pretty excited. Of course, I'm going to bring you tons of content on the DLC as it comes out and on the free summer update. So the 18th of June, expect about 20 videos, if not more. This is in combination with the free update. No matter how big this is, let's assume it's the same size as Dr. Wu. This is the biggest update Jurassic World Evolution has ever gotten, I would say. When Dr. Wu came out, it came out with the herding update and the AI update and stuff like that, and it was a great update, but it wasn't as big a deal as the 1.8 summer update. So that combined with this new Claire DLC, which does appear to be deeper than the Wu DLC, I would say this is the biggest change we've ever had to Jurassic World Evolution, which is, of course, exciting, right? So yeah, let me know what you think. I will see you lovely folks next time. Hit the subscribe button if you're new to the channel, hit the like button if you enjoyed this video and you're excited about the DLC. Goodbye. Hey folks, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video and you want to help support me a little bit more, you can do so at patreon.com/bestinslot. There's a link in the description down below. Every little really does help in times like these, but it's not at all expected, and by just watching the video you've already helped me out massively, and it makes you a pretty cool person, so well done you. Thanks for joining me either way, I'll see you next time.